this is going to be kind of a hard video for me. Not going to be something I normally do. I'll be honest with you. I've got something that's hit me harder than anything that's hit me in a really long time. And I'll just get it out of the way up front. And I'm going to try it without getting real emotional. But it's going to be hard for me. I lost my best non-human friend last night. And I want to talk about him on this video. Ricky was my buddy. He traveled with me, he camped with me. He stayed close to me all the time when he could. And the same thing for the wife. Let me tell you how it got started. We had lost a dog a few years ago, and my wife was dead set against getting another dog. My good friends Davis and Iris Canterbury had some puppies. And myself and my youngest son were over there. We weren't going to a class. I was working the class, and my son just went over to help out because he went to a lot of classes, and he came as a helper a lot of times. And Iris showed him the puppies. And Jacob came to me and said, "Dad, can we have one?" And I said, "You know how your mom feels about this, because we lost her little lap dog, and she's dead set against having another dog in the house because she don't want to get attached again." And we talked about it for the 2 or 3 days that we were over there. And the second day over there, he came to me again and said, "Hey, can we really have one? I got one I like." And I said, "You can have the puppy." I said, "But you are going to have to explain it to your mom when we get home." Well, we put Ricky in the truck. And we drove 6 hours home from the Canterbury's. Ricky was miserable the entire time. Puked and drooled and the whole 9 yards. Was not a fan of his first car ride. Which was strange because later he would do anything to go on a car ride with you. But anyway, we got home after that car ride, and I went in the house first, and Jacob comes in with the dog, and the wife was going, "Oh no, I told you no more dogs. We gotta take it back, take it back, take it back." And Ricky knew just how to play her. He came up and got all lovey with her and made the goo-goo eyes at her, and it wasn't, I'd like to say it was hours. I'd like to say it was days. But the fact is, she lasted minutes. She wouldn't admit it, but she was in love with the dog right then. And the rest we say is history. But I'll tell you about some of the history. So even though she was dead set against having another dog, She immediately went up and bought him some toys. And the funny thing with Ricky, he felt it was his duty to completely dismantle a toy the moment you gave it to him, and he would work on it and work on it and work on it until he got it completely dismantled. Squeakers out, seams pulled out, stuffings pulled out, eyes pulled off, whatever he had to do. And then after he got his mission complete, he was ready to move on to something else. He was a young, really energetic puppy. Loved to play with stuff, loved to play fetch, loved to play with sticks. And sticks was one of his things too. We'd be out in the yard, and he would find a stick and he would completely dismantle that. He had these most amazing paws. He could do a lot of things that normally require thumbs, which was amazing. But he would take a stick and he would completely dismantle that thing until he was done with it. Remove all the bark, any twigs that were on it, he'd take those off, the whole 9 yards, until he got it all down to bare wood. Then he'd move on to another stick. In his early years, he learned to play fetch. He would run and get anything and bring it back to you. Now, later in life, he would have nothing to do with fetch. You'd throw something and go, "Get it, Ricky!" And he would look at you like, "You threw it over there. I'm not going to get it." He loved his snacks. Anything he saw me eating, he wanted to try. Almonds, dark chocolate, ice cream. Loved ice cream. I remember the first time we got ice cream. We were out on a little road trip, and we stopped at one of those little roadside ice cream stands. And I ate about half of a cone and handed it and stuck it down to Ricky, and he sniffed at it and touched his tongue to it and looked at me like, "What the heck?" And I said, "Go ahead, it's good. Go ahead, Ricky, it's okay." And he commenced to lick the entire cone clean on the inside. And then I took a bite of the cone and handed him a little piece of it. And then he was thoroughly amazed. "You can eat the bowl too." So he took care of that. Ricky was a pet that had his own pet. I got called into work late one night, and it was raining and storming. I worked for a utility company, so I got called in at those times. And I opened the door, and there's a little kitten standing on the threshold, meowing. "Wow, wow, it's raining, help me." I didn't have time to mess with the cat. So I picked up the cat and put it inside the house and went when I had to work. Ricky adopted the cat. Took care of it, was concerned about it when things were going wrong. It'd meow, and Ricky'd go running over to check on it to make sure it was okay. So Ricky was a pet that had pets. I told you Ricky's first road trip was not good for him. But after that, he would do anything to go on a road trip. I'd open the front door, we'd go outside, and he was smart, had a huge vocabulary, knew what I was talking about most of the time, you know. They say dogs can only learn so many words, but Ricky knew a lot. You come out of our front door and you take a left to go to the driveway, and you take a right to come over to my man shed where I'm at right now. I'd open the door, we'd go out. If I was going out to the vehicles, he would dance around and run to the door, run back to me, run to the door, sit next to the van, look at it, sit next to the truck, look at it, and wait for me to get out there. The Ricky dance when he was excited was something magnificent to behold. And it was funny too. He'd sit up with his paws right straight out in front of him, with his head all pulled back, with his head straight up, his neck straight up, and his nose and his snout straight out. Looks like the Sphinx in Egypt, so that's what I used to tell everybody. Look, Ricky's Sphinxing. Ricky'd be so disappointed if I told him he couldn't go on a ride with me. I got to go someplace. He'd know when I was leaving someplace. And if it was someplace he couldn't go, I said, "No, Ricky, you can't go." And he would get broody. He would either go around to the other side of the room and sit and stare at me, or he would, when he was really upset, he would go all the way to the back of the hallway by the bathroom, and the bathroom hallway makes a little turn, so he could get around that turn, so I couldn't see him, but he would peek his head around to see if I was going to change my mind and bring him. But back to Ricky's vocabulary. We'd go out, and like I said, left to go to the vehicles, right to go to the shed, and I would go, "Ricky, not going for a ride. We're going to the shed." And he would turn around immediately and run for the shed. Like I said, I'd love to go on rides. If I would be out in the yard working in one of the vehicles, cleaning my coolers or reorganizing or whatever, he would sit in the van or sit in the truck and wait and wait and wait. You had to drag him out. There were times where I would leave him sitting in the front seat of the van for hours, and he would just wait to go on a ride. Wait. I could go, "Come on, Ricky, we're going to the house." Wouldn't go. "Come on, Ricky, let's go to the house." Nope, we're going for a ride. Ricky became a dad not too awful long ago, almost a year now, I guess. And again, just a couple weeks ago, but we won't talk about that because he actually had kids with his daughter, which I guess is okay in the dog world. It was funny. Ricky got ornery in his later years, so I couldn't take him to as many public events because he was protective and really growly, and the whole time protected me, protected the wife, protected everybody. I don't know where I was going with that one. Oh, his kids. He loved making the puppies, but he didn't like having the puppies around because they invaded his personal space, which was anything within 25 feet of Ricky. But it was all growl and bark and no. It was all a show. It was funny. The puppies would get close to him to love on him and stuff like that, and he would had this little, not a mean, growly, barky thing, but oh God, please don't get close to me kind of bark. And the puppies knew he was full of crap because they would go over and lick him in the face while he was barking or growling at him. I had one puppy that when he would open his mouth wide enough to growl at her, she would stick her whole face right inside his mouth. It was funny. Ricky just wanted to be around his people all the time. Car rides. He'd be right in the passenger seat if he could, if he was allowed to go on that trip. He'd be right in the passenger seat. If me and the wife both went, he would be in between the seats, and he would get himself in the most uncomfortable looking positions just so he could get closer. Same thing in the house. He was the only dog for quite a while. And then my middle son came over and brought his dog. So Ricky was okay with that for a while. And then we got the bulldog. Ricky was now a little concerned about his personal time with his humans, but he got plenty of it. When the puppies came, and they were big enough to actually move around on their own, he would be the big tough guy, and he would get up on the couch next to us, and he'd move over next to either me or the wife, or but one of the puppies would jump up on the couch and start edging closer and getting closer and getting closer, and Ricky would give up his spot. Then he'd sit down next to on the floor next to my feet. If I came out here to the shed to shoot YouTube videos or work on a laser or anything like that, he wanted to come with me. He wanted to be in the shed. The wife would come home from work in the evening, because she would get there later than I did. And now that I'm retired, she's coming home from work and I'm already there. Ricky would sing to her as soon as he got in the whine. Tried to vocalize, tried to do the whole 9 yards. Where you been all day? I missed you. Where you been? It's going to be hard for a little while. So I'm probably going to go dark for a little while. I probably had 50 dogs in my life. This is only the third one I can think of that I ever got emotional about. When I lost them. Ricky did the coolest stuff. When me and the wife were both working, he had his favorite snacks and toys and things like that. And one of his favorite things in the world was Kentucky Fried Chicken biscuits. When me and the wife were both working, we'd get Kentucky Fried Chicken once every week, once every other week, kind of thing. So neither one of us had to cook that night. And neither one of us are big biscuit eaters. I don't believe in taking up valuable meat space with bread. So, Ricky would get a biscuit, and he would savor it. He would carry it around for hours. Sometimes he would carry the same biscuit around for a couple of days. Before he finally got around to chewing it up and eating it. Ricky liked to run the neighborhood. He went and visited the neighbor dogs all the time. For a while, he had some kind of a trade operation going. I told you he loved KFC biscuits. For about 2 or 3 weeks, he would go and find a biscuit that he had hid somewhere when he wanted out to do his business. And I'd go open the door and he'd run back in the house a little bit and come out with a biscuit. I don't know where he got it from. He had it hid someplace. And he would leave. And then for weeks, he would come back without the biscuit, but he'd have a dog toy. So I think he was trading with the neighbor dogs. Ricky was a well-traveled dog. I think he's peed in about 13 states. Love going on the road. If you look on TikTok, some of his road trip videos are on there. And there's some stuff on Instagram too, I think. He's been in some of the YouTube videos in the background. So that it's going to be hard for the next few weeks. Because Ricky was involved in every aspect of our life. Sitting with us in the living room. I stay awake late and the wife goes to bed early. So he would go to the bedroom with her. Then when I went in there, he was waiting at the foot of the bed. I'd lay down and he'd come up and lay down right beside, right between us. I say lay down, but Ricky didn't actually lay down. He would actually get to a spot where he wanted to lay down and just collapse. Every time I left the house, he wanted to go for a ride, no matter where I was going. Even if it was just into town, he was happy when I got back. Every time I got out of the van, we took a long road trip right after we got in the van, and Ricky went with us. 9 states in 13 days, I think. A lot of the places Ricky couldn't get out and go with us because it was hiking trails and things like that and national parks, and you can't have the dogs because it's not a dog-friendly environment. So he would sit in the van with the air conditioner running, having a great time. And it was funny because as soon as you got out of the van, he would move to the driver's seat and sit behind the steering wheel and watch for us. Sometimes he would go to sleep. And but he'd always pop up when we got close to the van. Wouldn't go in the back of the van and lay on the floor. Wouldn't go to the back of the van and lay in the bed by himself. But that's where he wanted to sleep when we camped in the van. He sat in the seat and waited for us to come back. So anytime I get in the van, I'm going to be thinking about Ricky. Anytime I come out here to the shed to do something, I'm going to be thinking about Ricky. Because anytime I was in here, he had about 3 spots he liked to lay. If I was working over at the laser, he laid under the computer desk. If I was sitting here doing a YouTube video, he was right there on the floor, right in front of me. Last night, Ricky was sitting next to me on the couch. One of the puppies that has adopted me and decided that I am her human crawled up on the couch and up onto my lap. Ricky didn't want to be that close. So he jumped down and sat next to my feet. Gave him an Oreo. He loved Oreos. Then he gave me one of his little cries. I want to go out. So I let him out. Shot out the door, happy as hell. Tail wagging, tail waving up in the air, ears perked up. That was the last time I saw him alive. We're gonna miss you, boy.